Okay guys, alright, let's get started. You guys have today to finish this animation, so I'm going to go over everything we've been going over and some things that you may be having trouble with. So, if you look here, I have my two characters. Here is the side view one that we are working on. Okay, we are going to have this animation walk across the screen and then backwards across the screen for this first part. Alright, so one thing I did before that you guys may need to do is we've drawn two people, one person facing forward and then a side view of your character of yourself. So for the front view one, they may not be on another layer. That's okay. I'm going to show you how to fix that. So what you're going to do is you're going to select your front view layer person, convert the whole thing to a symbol and just label it front view or whatever you know, like my person front view, however you want to label it, that you know that that symbol is everything. Excuse me. Okay, so I'm going to try to make this as quick as possible but as thorough. So then here is my side view character. Okay, so what you might need to do is if they're on the same layer, what you need to do is hit Control X. So Control X is an X-ray at the same time. What that does is it cuts the character. So it's like copy, except it cuts away the character. What you then need to do is you need to go over here and hit New Layer, double click, and just write front view. Over here, make sure you're on that new layer, click that first frame, and then you're going to hit Control Shift V. What that does is it can paste in place. So it means exactly where we cut the character, they have now pasted. It's just she's now on a new layer for me. So I'm going to turn her off for this because we're only working on this side view right now. So I'm going to go back to, I'm going to lock this, I'm going to go back to my side view now. Okay, so now let's go back into my animation. So now this looks really complicated, but it's actually pretty easy once you know what you're doing and what you're looking for. Okay, so let's talk setup. Okay, I'm going to paste my setup into Schoology here so you can have an idea of how my layers are done. Okay, so layers at the top are in front of everything. Layers at the bottom are underneath everything. Okay, so what that means, and let me go back out and turn my other person on real quick so we can kind of talk about it. Okay, so what that means is that my head is in front of everything. Then my top right arm is behind my head but in front of everything else. Okay, so when you range things, all of these things are on top of the other things based on how high they are on these layers. Okay, so what that means is that's why my left hand, forearm, and right arm are all the way down at the bottom. It's because if you look at this front view, this technically is that left arm and everything. On this side, it needs to be behind everything else. It can't be in front of anything. If not, that would look really weird with this arm like swinging out of my stomach or swinging between the legs. So you got to make sure everything is in front and lined up the way it is. That's why then, if you look, it's my left hand, then my left leg, because my left leg is behind everything else. Okay, and then torso, hips, all of that, and the head's kind of in the middle. The only reason my head is at the top is because of the hair. So I made the head and the hair all one symbol. Well, I want my hair in front looking like it's over top of the shoulder, right? So my head needs to be first. So these are things that you have to line up correctly first in your layers. So each layer holds a different body part. We've already gone over this. Holds a different body part, and you need to make sure every single body part has been turned into a simple symbol. Okay. Then you go over here. You can see each individual body part that I've created for this animation. Okay. Last thing for preparation before we do the parenting and child is you need to make sure your anchor points are at the correct thing, at the correct place. So click your free transform tool and it's this white dot. It's an anchor point. Everything rotates and moves around this point. This point is fixed. Okay, so see how my foot bends and moves? Sorry, excuse me. So like my head anchor point needs to be at the neck. My neck anchor point needs to be at the torso. These are the places that things bend. Okay, see my neck is at the bottom here where it hits the torso. My arm bends at the shoulder for the top part. My forearm bends at the elbow. Your hand bends at the wrist. Okay, your thigh bends at your hip. Your calf bends at your knee, and then your foot bends at your ankle. So that's where you need to move the anchor point for both arms, both legs, the torso, hips. The only thing that stays in the middle is the torso. Doesn't really, it bends around itself because of the spine. And then the hips kind of bend at the bottom of the torso. Okay, so the only one that stays in the middle is that torso. Okay, so let's talk about parenting and child again. So over here on the left hand side, if you don't see it, look up here. You have new layer, new folder, delete, add camera, and then we have show parenting view. So you're going to click on this, and this will show our rigging setup for this character. Okay, and we're working with parent and child layers to complete a rigging that works for this. So if you look, my torso is the parent to everything. Everything falls back to the torso. So when I move my torso, I move my entire character. Okay? Make sense? All right. So everything is a child to the torso, but we have a hierarchy. So if you look what the main things are that are attached to the torso, so it's my right top arm, it's the neck, it's my hips, and then the left top arm. So if I click on, let's say, the right top arm, and I move this, because it's not the parent layer of the torso, see how it removed from the body, but it took my arm and my hand with it? That's because it's the parent to these two. But because it's the child to the torso, it won't take the torso with it. Okay, if that makes sense. So the children always have to go with the parent, but the parent doesn't have to go with the children, if that makes sense. All right, and like I said, I will screenshot this and put this in Schoology so you can look how everything is connected. So with this right top arm, I'll disconnect this. So easy way to disconnect is you just click on that line, and then I'm going to say remove parent, and then remove parent. Okay, so I have now, the forearm and hand are free again. So just to show you, the way we connect this is we grab the child and we drag it to the parent. So the right forearm is the child to the top forearm. So I'm going to click and I'm going to drag, and I'm going to let go, and now that's set up. And then the right hand, I'm going to click and I'm going to drag, and now that is the child to this. So the hand connects to the forearm, which connects to the top of the arm, which connects back to that torso. Okay, the head connects to our neck, so the head is the child to the neck, and the neck connects to the torso. For the hips, okay, again, it starts with the foot connects to the calf connects to the thigh, and then the thigh connects to the hips. Same one with left and right, and then the hands again. Hand connects to the forearm connects to the top arm, which then all connects back to the torso. Okay, so once your rigging is complete, you should have something that looks like this. Okay, and if you look here, if I click and rotate, you see how everything goes with it. So I'm going to undo that. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is we need to move your character into the correct positions to start the motion. Okay, so what I will do is, let me just remove my classic tween here for each thing, so you guys can see each individual frame. So I'm just clicking and selecting everything, and so you guys can either freeze this, but I'm not going to have tonight. I will try before I have testing. I'll try to get these frames cut out and also in Schoology for you, each individual position. But we also have the guide there that's just what I worked off of. So I'm going to go back to the beginning. So this is position 1, okay? The right leg is forward, the left leg's back. Hands are opposite of the legs. So that means the right arm is swinging back, the left arm is swinging forward. Okay, if I go now to, and mine are 7 frames apart. Okay, if I go to the next frame, then I'm doing like almost like a lunge. So the knees bent here, planted on the ground. This is pointed. Okay, next frame, the leg is straight and this knee is bent. Okay, and then I also moved my head with it. So my head went forward and backwards based on if I was going up, the head kind of came forward. If I was going back, the head kind of went back a little bit. So you can see here, this was then the 4th position. And then the 5th position is back into that walk. So this right here is 1 stride, okay? 1 stride forward. So this is only half of a walk cycle. We need this leg to come forward again to be like, to meet back in the first, because you can see this is the first. So this is where our diagram on Schoology ends. But what you have to do is you're just doing literally the opposite legs in the diagram. So then we go to position 2. Again, this one's forward. So, and then we go back to that straight leg again. And then we go to this like almost like looks like a slight running or hopping position. And then for the last frame, it is slightly back from this one. So see how these legs are fully extended? And if I go to my last frame, they look a little bit closer together. The reason this is because if I had this first frame look exactly like the last frame, what you get is like a weird skip within your animation. So then what happens is it does not loop nicely, and you can actually see where the animation restarts. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to select all my layers here. So I'm just going to select them all again, and then I'm going to create Classic Tween through them. And I know it's a Classic Tween because it's purple. So a Motion Tween, I believe, is yellow if we did that, but we're not going to use that yet. So Classic Tween. Okay, create Classic Tween. Okay. Oh, I didn't select all my layers. That's okay. All right. So. Okay. So if you look here now, I can turn on my loop and I can hit play, and now I have a pretty good walking in still. All right, so this is done. I'm good. My arms are swinging, my head's kind of bobbing. It looks decent. So I'm going to hit the back and I'm going to go back to scene 1. So now I want my character to walk across the stage. Pretty simple. So what we're going to do is I'm going to start keyframe 1. I'm going to turn off this character because I don't need them right now. And there is my character right here. And she's going to walk across the stage to the other side. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go and I think it's probably going to be like 105 seconds. So that's what I'm going to decide. So I'm going to insert a new keyframe. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag my character all the way to the other side, okay, and off the frame. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a Classic Tween again, okay, and when you hit play, she magically now walks across the stage, and I would say the timing is pretty good. It doesn't look like she's like floating across the stage or anything. You don't want that. So if you've gone too slow or too fast, it might look like she's kind of like floating and not lifting off that foot. So you got to play around with your time. Your time may be different than mine. You'll have to see. So she is now floating across the stage. So next I'm going to go to 120 and I'm going to add a keyframe because I want her to pause for a second and then walk backwards. So I have her here, and then I'm going to go to object. So I'm going to click on her and I've added in my keyframe. And now down here, remember this with the flames? If you see there is a play graphic in loop, I want her to play graphic in reverse loop now. So I'm going to click this for this keyframe and that's going to put her in reverse. And then I did 105 frames, so 105 plus 120 is 225. So I'm going to go frame 225. I'm going to insert a keyframe, and now I'm just going to gently walk her backwards, and then I'm going to add another classic tween in between. And if I've done everything correctly, what I should be able to do is hit play, and she should be able to walk forwards, pause, and then walk backwards through the frame. Okay, and that looks like it works. And if I'm unsure, I can hit play up here and watch it and make sure that she literally is going all the way out of the frame and then coming back into the frame. And timings may be slightly off, but not bad. So there you go. So now this is all set and ready to turn in. So this is what I'm looking for when you guys finish this assignment. It's using all these tools to have your character walk. So as you can see, this is a great way to have like repeating things that you need, so elements. So now any scene I need her just walking by, I can resize her. I can make this smaller, I can make it bigger, I can make her taller, I could do everything if she wanted to be a giant for part of a scene, whatever I needed. Even if she wanted, let's just say she's coming from far away and you know, and getting smaller. So if you just make her bigger at the beginning, and then you can see how she slowly is getting smaller, like she's going farther away, I could do that. So those are all things you could do to have it look like they're, you know, traveling farther away, all that kind of stuff with just this one animation. Okay.